So today let's talk about this plagiarism, similarity index, and review these concepts. So what plagiarism and similarity index, you will often see this similarity index when you run your manuscript through the different plagiarism detectors like Turnitin, Authenticate, Grammarly are nowadays even in Paperpal. So what is plagiarism? What is similarity index? Plagiarism is actually what is the act of someone when you're taking someone else's work and you're presenting it as your own. Just I have written few lines here for clarification, you can read through that. That plagiarism could be intentional or unintentional, but it involves a lack of attribution. This is a lack of attribution. Second, now there are different forms of plagiarism. As the text reads, that it could be like you are copying directly, or you are paraphrasing but you are not giving proper citation to the original source, or you are using someone else's ideas without giving them credit. So in recap, what plagiarism actually that art of stealing. It is an act of stealing. You are stealing someone else's work, you are taking someone else text, you are taking someone else ideas or what they have presented originally in their work, and then you are utilizing it in your work, in your research, and you are not citing that source. That means you are not giving reference to that source, that you have taken that particular statement, or it could be a paragraph or an idea from, or you can take the whole paragraph, you can take the crux of some ideas from some different paper, some different texts of sources, but you are not citing them in your work. So that actually comes under the umbrella of this plagiarism. Now there are different controversies on different types of this plagiarism, but simple words, it is just if you are copy pasting someone's work, that is a plagiarism. If you're taking the idea from some other source, it could be mostly from another paper, a journal article, or a thesis, or anything, but you are not citing the original source, that means you're not giving the reference to that paper or that author, that means you have plagiarized. Now come to another thing, that is actually the similarity index. Now similarity index you will see whenever you are done with writing your paper, thesis, or any essay, before submitting it to some journal or conference paper, or you institute your supervisor, you actually upload your paper to some of there are softwares. The top software worldwide is the Turnitin, another is Authenticate, and there are many more, but these two are actually the highly reliable sources. So whenever you upload a document, and they will scan your whole document, how they scan, actually these tools just compare your text, your manuscript, yeah, your uploaded text file to millions and billions of research papers, articles, Wikipedia, and everything, whatever the content is available online on the internet, not necessarily a research paper. It will just compare your text with whatever online material is available, and it will just create a similarity index, a percentage of similarity. Similarity index is actually a metric. That metric means it's a number or any quantity. So it will actually give you a percentage of similarity of what, of how much percentage of your text, whatever it could be, 100 word, it could be 1,000, 10,000 word, or 15,000 word thesis, or 5,000 word paper, that how much quantity, how much percentage of your text is actually looks similar to text somewhere else available online anywhere. It could be Wikipedia, it could be journal, magazines, it could be newspapers, it could be any title of research paper, or in the body of the research paper. So similarity index is not same as plagiarism. Similarity index, it's a geometric generated by software tools that scan your text for matches against the databases of sources. Now it represents a percentage, it represents a percentage of your text that appears similar to existing content. Now what happens, so similarity index is not plagiarism. If your manuscript reads, say for example, a plagiarism, or sorry, a similarity index of 30%, that does not mean that your 30% text is plagiarized. It means the 30% of your text is actually similar to other content that is already available or published online. So if there is a very high similarity index of your text, as it reads, there is a very high in similarity index, say for example 35%, 40%, or 50%, that's too much. If so much of your text is actually showing so much, there is a similarity index of 40%, 45%, 35%, 30%, it is quite high. If there is so much similarity index of your work as compared to the already published work, that means there are chances that could be intentional or unintentional. Either you may have purely plagiarized by intention, or you did not, but it appears similar, because there are a lot of thousands, hundreds and millions of sometimes resources that are similar to your work already published. So obviously there will be some similarity index will appear. So that does not necessarily mean that reached at a high similarity index does not mean necessarily plagiarism. It could indicate what it could indicate. It could indicate that either you have not used proper citations or quotes, or there are common phrases, too much common phrases in your work that appear similar to other such work, or even matches references. So actually whenever you upload a document on Turnitin Authenticate, what actually it does for creating a similarity index, it excludes the two things from your text. Usually it does not count two things in similarity index. One are the references, because sometimes text have 50 references, 20 references, even sometimes 100 of references, and those collectively represent usually sometimes thousands of characters and words. If it takes that two into similarity index, then it will be too much, because many other people would have cited the similar work. So it does not take into account this references section. And second thing, whatever the sentences or phrases or paragraphs that you have written in double commas, that is quotation marks, if you have used things in quotation marks in your text, that will also won't count in the similarity index. So similarity index just simply means that say for example you're writing a paper on typhoid prevention. So typhoid is a very common disease throughout world. There are a lot of material published related to typhoid in research papers, in abstracts, in newspapers and magazines. So everything that writes about typhoid, obviously it will use the word typhoid, it will not use anything alternate to typhoid. So whenever obviously when you are writing a paper, say for example a 5,000 word paper on typhoid and vaccine, so whenever obviously you will be talking typhoid many times in your paper. So everywhere the word typhoid is appears in a text, in your text, it will be actually be similarized with already, because there are millions of resources published related to typhoid. So actually what you can do, you can't replace that typhoid word, it will be appear in the similarity index. Similarly, if you're writing something related to WHO statistics, World Health Organization, it has millions, billions of resources that are citing and quoting this WHO and writing WHO in their manuscripts or works. So obviously this word WHO will also be similarized, you cannot change it. So that's why there are very common phrases, there are very common terms, there are common names. That's what a country name, United States. Whenever you will write about United States, you will write it United States, you cannot write UK or any other word related to. So United States is a very common name, so country name. So every time it appears in your work, it will be similar to index. This is why there can never be 0% similarity. There can never be 0% similarity for any work. So there are some minimum cutoffs set by different institutions and journals, that okay, this should be your minimum similarity index to avoid the plagiarism. This usually in universities, somewhere it is less than 20%, somewhere there's a policy of less than 50%. Some journals mostly are strict that okay, plagiarism should be less than 13% or 10%. So this is how you interpret this plagiarism versus similarity index. I will just show you a table of differences, that what is the difference between this similarity index and. So first read this line, that in essence, in simple words, plagiarism is the academic offense. Plagiarism is the academic offense. If you're committing this plagiarism intentionally, that is an offense. It's a very big offense in academic writing and work. While similarity index, it's just a tool. A mere similarity index, a mere tool which actually help to identify the potential plagiarism, how I just described it. In a similarity index which just alert you before submission of your work that okay, this work has too much or too little, or adequate similarity index. So if there is a too much plagiarism, in a similarity index in your work, that means you will review your work to find any potential intentional or unintentional work that you have plagiarized. So there you can reduce that through different ways before submitting the original works. So this was there was some differences between your similarity index and plagiarisms.